Hey guys, Dave here. Well, last week we catered to the coal miners with the coal miners' supper. And I thought you guys must be saying Dave stops making hamburger recipes. So I thought we would do some pork chops this week. I had a friend who used to call them pork hogs. Anyway, we're going to do up a Homesteader pork chop casserole. So what you do is lay some potatoes in the bottom and some sauce over the top with some caramelized onions again. Then the pork chops over the top and some cheese. It is going to be absolutely incredible. So let's get started and let me show you how to do this. So what you're going to need to make this up is first off some sour cream and some of my old smoky style southern seasoning, smoked paprika, Italian seasoning, some onion powder, garlic powder, some thyme, oil for frying, some pepper, salt, a bit of milk, cream of mushroom soup, of course the old pork chops, some cheese, onions for the caramelized onions, and last of all, potatoes. Okie dokie, right off the old batteroonie, I'm going to grab up some onions here, and we are going to slice these so we can ring them up. I'd say about a quarter-inch thick, something like that. Then take those onions, and we'll just ring them up. Next up, we're going to fire up the old cast iron pan over medium-high heat and throw in a knob of butter. I don't know, a tablespoon or two, something like that. Now we just kind of swirl this butter around and let it melt down. Now, of course, you don't have to use cast iron, but I just love cast iron. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, but can't beat cast iron. Throw in a bit of oil just so that butter doesn't burn. And of course, in we go with those onions. I'm going to throw a bit of brown sugar in here, guys. Just add a bit of richness and a little dusting of salt just to help extract the water a little better. And we'll just stir these around, let them cook for, 3 or 4 minutes over medium-high heat. Then we're going to reduce the heat to low and slow. Now, it seems like a lot of onions, but, as I always say with caramelized onions, when they cook down, it doesn't amount to very much. While those onions are caramelizing up low and slow, I'm going to grab up those taters, and we'll just peel these up here. And these are russets. You can use whatever potato you like. Now, what I'm going to do, guys, is make these potatoes into scallops just so they fit in the bottom of the casserole dish. And I'm going to use the food processor. But, of course, you don't have to use a food processor. You can just use a knife, whatever you like. We're going to take advantage of that modern technology. So in we go with those potatoes and with the coarse slicing blade. Easy peasy, just slice them up. And just look at that, my friends. That make life a whole lot easier trying to do it with a knife. I just love this food processor. Well, we're still waiting for those onions to caramelize. I'm going to grab up those pork hobs or those pork chops and throw them onto a cutting board. And we're going to season these up with some salt. Of course, some ground black pepper. You know me, I just love pepper, so I'm going to add a fair amount of this. A bit of garlic powder. I mean, life just wouldn't be life without garlic powder. Some of my southern style smoky seasoning. I mean, this is optional, but you can pick up some kind of smoky seasoning. It's always so good. Bit of Italian seasoning. I used Italian seasoning for a lot of stuff. And of course, some smoked paprika. And I always say if you can get the smoke, go ahead and get it because it's always so much nicer. Now we're just going to kind of rub this in here. Now, I'm using the bone-in chops, guys, because I find them, they're so much better because you've got that bone and got some fat on there, too. And I got these in my local butcher. I find the ones you get at the grocery store, especially the No Frills grocery store, whatever it might be, they're tough. Bone-in is the best. I mean, you could use butterfly, but butterfly sometimes come out tough. So if you can't get bone-in. Anyway, I'm going to flip these over and do the same thing for the other side. Okay, my friends, our onions are pretty much done here and looking and smelling so good. So what I'm going to do is just kind of throw these into a bowl for now. Now, in the same pan, you don't want to touch this. You got all kinds of wonderful flavors from the onions happening. I'm going to throw in a bit more oil, and I crank the heat back up to medium-high here. And we're just going to toss in those pork chops and leave them in there for about 2 minutes and sear them up. Now, here's the thing, my friends. I might be a little bit off my game today because I'm kind of excited. I got a truck. So I'm going to go pick that up later on today. So I'm really excited about that. And I might do a video and release it next week. We'll see. But it's a good old Ford 150. Nice four-wheel drive. So we'll see what happens there. Alrighty, guys. That's about a couple of minutes on the one side. So I'm just going to flip these over. And we'll do the same thing about 2 minutes on the other side. But these are looking and smelling good. Okay, a minute or two on the other side. We are pretty good. So I'm just going to set these aside on the cutting board just around. Now, I'm going to kind of stress here, you only want these a minute or two, just enough to sear. I guess about 2 minutes, because they're going into the oven and you don't want them overcooked. That's the last thing you want with pork chops. Next up, to build our casserole, I'm going to add a bit of oil to the bottom of my big old casserole dish here. And just kind of brush or spread it out. Then we'll grab up those taters and just kind of very strategically, or not so strategically, add them to the bottom of the casserole dish, just so we get a layer of taters in there. Next up, I'm going to grab up those onions and we're going to lay these over top of those taters. A lot of people may say, well, they're not taters. Why are you calling them taters? I know they're potatoes, but it's just kind of a teasing way of saying things. Anyway, you don't have to use caramelized onions in this, guys. You can just use regular onions. But I thought, just a layer of regular onions. But I thought caramelized onions would be a whole lot nicer. And the great thing about caramelized onions, you can make them up and they last in the fridge for a few days. You can even freeze them and they'll last, for 2 or 3 months, but they get a bit soggy when you thaw them. But anyway, that's just kind of my way of thinking. After that, I'm going to go over with a layer of grated old cheddar cheese. I mean, to me, this is looking pretty darn good, guys. You don't have to use the old cheddar cheese. You can use Monterey Jack or whatever you like. You don't even have to use cheese for that matter. But I just love cheese and thought it'd be nice. Well, building this, guys, we're going to make up our secret sauce by using a can of cream of mushroom soup. I mean, if you want to go ahead and make this from scratch, you can, but it's a whole lot easier to buy it. Followed by half a cup of milk. That's just 2% milk, which works absolutely fine. Another half a cup of sour cream. About half a cup of chicken stock. And we're going to season this up with half a teaspoon of thyme, good old thyme. Another half a teaspoon of onion powder. And half a teaspoon of the good old garlic powder. Grab up the spoon and we'll just mix everything together here. And then I'm just going to take my secret sauce and spoon that or ladle it over top of the potatoes and onion here. Alrighty, you probably guessed it, guys. I'm going to take those pork chops and I'm going to lay them over the top. Oh, this is going to be yumsicle. Then I am going to grate some more of that old sharp cheddar cheese over the top. Now, guys, this is just kind of my configuration here of building the casserole. I mean, some people might say, well, why don't you put the onions over top of the pork chops, blah, blah, blah. Just my way of doing it. I mean, you can do it whatever way you like, but to me, this is going to be good. Now, my friends, I'm going to take some aluminum foil and we'll put this over the top. Then we're going to go into a 375-degree Fahrenheit preheated oven for about 40 minutes until everything cooks up nicely. Alrighty then, after 40 minutes, we're going to pull it out. And let's do the unveiling and have a look. Come on in, have a look here. Let's see what we got. Oh. Just look at that cheesy, bubbling goodness. Now, of course, I'm going to garnish this up with some parsley just for that greenage. Oh, just look at this. And there you have it, my friends, our Homesteader's pork chop casserole. So incredibly delicious. Everybody is going to love this. Alrighty, it is time to plate this up. So I'm going to grab up one of those pork chops. I can just tell this is nice and tender. And onto a plate we go. Now we shall grab up some of those scallops and some of that sauce. onto the plate we go with that. Oh, and just look at those caramelized onions. Now we shall just cut into that pork chop. Oh. Get some of those potatoes and those caramelized onions on there. Just look at this, guys. Absolutely incredible. All right, time for the old taste test. Believe me, my friends, this is absolutely incredible. That pork is so tender. Those potatoes are absolutely delicious. The sauce and those caramelized onions just make the whole dish. Man, oh man, you got to make this up, guys. It is so good. And if you do, leave us a comment. Love to read them. Most of all, it helps the channel out, and subscribe. Why not? It's free. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay safe. And of course, I'm going to have more of this because it is absolutely, without the word of a lie, delicious. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.